One of the world's earliest and most advanced urban cultures thrived over 4,000 years ago, building sprawling cities, intricate drainage systems, and a society that seemed to defy the challenges of its time. Yet the Indus Valley Civilization vanished almost overnight, leaving behind no clear explanation for its sudden collapse. How could a civilization so advanced, so seemingly stable, simply disappear without a trace? This isn't just a story of ancient ruins, it's a mystery that has baffled historians, archaeologists, and scientists for centuries. What caused this once thriving society to crumble? Was it climate change, invasion, or something even more unexpected? And perhaps most intriguing of all, could the fate of the Indus Valley hold lessons for us today? In this video, we'll dive deep into the evidence, explore the leading theories, and uncover the secrets of one of history's greatest enigmas. Get ready to journey back in time and unravel the mystery of the Indus Valley Civilization. At its height, the Indus Valley Civilization was nothing short of extraordinary. Picture this, a vast network of cities stretching across what is now modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, home to over 5 million people, a staggering number for a society that flourished over 4,000 years ago. These weren't just simple settlements, they were marvels of urban planning, streets laid out in precise grids, houses built with baked bricks, and an advanced drainage system that would put many modern cities to shame. Wastewater flowed through covered channels, ensuring cleanliness and preventing flooding, a level of sophistication that was unparalleled at the time. But it wasn't just about infrastructure. The Indus Valley people were master traders, their networks stretching as far as Mesopotamia and Central Asia. They used standardized weights and measures, a system so precise that it suggests a highly organized economy. And then there's their script, hundreds of symbols etched into seals and pottery, a language that remains undeciphered to this day. It's a tantalizing mystery, one that hints at a rich cultural and intellectual life we can only begin to imagine. Experts often refer to the Indus Valley as one of the cradles of human civilization, and for good reason. It was a society that thrived on innovation, cooperation, and adaptability. Yet, despite its achievements, this civilization didn't just decline, it vanished. How could a society so advanced, so seemingly stable, collapse so completely? What forces could have brought down a civilization that had mastered so much? The answers, as we'll see, are as complex as the civilization itself. The Indus Valley Civilization wasn't just advanced, it was unique in ways that still set it apart from other ancient societies. Take its cities, for example. Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, two of its most famous urban centers, were laid out in a meticulous grid pattern, with streets intersecting at perfect right angles. This wasn't just about aesthetics, it was a testament to their mastery of urban planning. Each city was divided into distinct neighborhoods, with homes built from uniform, kiln-fired bricks, a level of standardization that suggests a highly organized society. But what's even more striking is what these cities didn't have. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt or the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, there's no evidence of grand palaces, towering temples, or monuments dedicated to kings or gods. Instead, the focus seems to have been on practicality and community. This absence of monumental architecture hints at something fascinating. The Indus Valley may have been an egalitarian society. There's little evidence of a ruling elite or a centralized authority. No grand tombs filled with treasures, no inscriptions glorifying kings or conquerors. Instead, the civilization seems to have thrived on cooperation and shared responsibility. Even their homes were remarkably similar in size and design, suggesting a society where wealth and power were more evenly distributed than in other ancient cultures. But don't mistake their practicality for a lack of creativity. the Indus Valley people were master artisans, producing some of the most exquisite artifacts of the ancient world. Take the famous dancing girl statue, for instance. This small bronze figure, just over 4,000 years old, captures a sense of movement and grace that feels almost modern. Her confident pose and intricate jewelry speak to a society that valued artistry and self-expression. Pottery, too, was a hallmark of their culture, with beautifully crafted vessels adorned with geometric patterns and animal motifs. These weren't just utilitarian objects, they were works of art, reflecting a deep appreciation for beauty and craftsmanship. Perhaps one of the most puzzling aspects of the Indus Valley Civilization is the lack of evidence for warfare. Unlike other ancient societies, there are no grand fortifications, no depictions of battles, no weapons stockpiled for conquest. This has led some scholars to suggest that the Indus Valley was a peaceful society, one that prioritized trade and cooperation over conflict. But this absence of evidence also makes it harder to piece together their story. Without the usual markers of power and conflict, understanding their social structure and governance becomes a challenge. All of these features, the grid-based cities, the egalitarian ethos, the artistic achievements, and the apparent peacefulness, paint a picture of a civilization that was truly ahead of its time. Yet they also raise questions. How did such a society function without the hierarchies we see in other ancient cultures? And why, despite its sophistication, did it ultimately collapse? The answers may lie in the very things that made the Indus Valley unique: its reliance on a stable environment, its intricate trade networks, and its delicate balance of social cohesion. As we explore the theories behind its decline, these questions will take on even greater significance. So, what could have caused such a remarkable civilization to vanish? The disappearance of the Indus Valley Civilization has sparked countless theories, each offering a different piece of the puzzle. Historians and archaeologists have debated this mystery for decades, and while no single explanation has been universally accepted, several compelling ideas have emerged. Some point to dramatic shifts in climate, suggesting that prolonged droughts or unpredictable monsoons may have disrupted the delicate balance of their agricultural systems. Others propose that natural disasters, earthquakes, floods, or even a shift in the course of the Indus River could have devastated their cities. And then there's the possibility of invasion or conflict, though evidence for this remains frustratingly scarce. As archaeologist Jane McIntosh once noted, the Indus Valley Civilization is like a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing. We can see the outline, but the details are still unclear. This lack of definitive evidence is what makes the mystery so enduring. Each theory offers a plausible explanation, but none can fully account for the civilization's sudden and complete collapse. What's fascinating is how these theories reflect the complexity of the Indus Valley itself. A society so advanced, so interconnected, and so finely tuned to its environment would have been vulnerable to a wide range of challenges. A single catastrophic event might have been enough to tip the scales, but it's also possible that a combination of factors, environmental, social, and economic, worked together to bring about its downfall. In the sections ahead, we'll explore each of these theories in detail, examining the evidence and considering how they might fit into the broader story of the Indus Valley's decline. From shifting rivers to shifting climates, from external threats to internal struggles, the answers are as varied as they are intriguing. And as we delve deeper, we'll also ask what this ancient civilization's fate might tell us about our own world today. After all, the Indus Valley wasn't just a relic of the past. It was a society that faced challenges not so different from those we grapple with now. How they responded and why they ultimately failed might hold lessons for us all. One of the most compelling theories about the fall of the Indus Valley Civilization points to the environment specifically. dramatic shifts in climate that may have destabilized the region. Imagine a society so finely tuned to its surroundings that even a small change could ripple through every aspect of life. For the Indus Valley, that change might have come in the form of prolonged droughts or erratic monsoon patterns. Geological studies have uncovered clues in sediment cores and riverbed deposits, revealing a landscape that was far less stable than it once appeared. These findings suggest that the region experienced significant environmental upheaval during the civilization's later years, with rivers drying up or changing course, and rainfall becoming increasingly unpredictable. Water was the lifeblood of the Indus Valley. Their cities were built along the banks of the mighty Indus River and its tributaries, relying on these waterways for agriculture, trade, and daily survival. Crops like wheat and barley flourished in the fertile soil, fed by a network of irrigation canals. But what happens when the water disappears? A prolonged drought could have devastated their agricultural output, leading to food shortages and economic strain. Trade routes which depended on river transport might have faltered, cutting off vital connections to other regions. Even the intricate drainage systems that once kept their cities clean and functional could have become obsolete if the rivers they relied on dried up. This theory isn't unique to the Indus Valley. History is filled with examples of civilizations brought to their knees by environmental change. The Akkadian Empire in Mesopotamia, for instance, collapsed around the same time as the Indus Valley, likely due to a severe drought. Similarly, the ancient Maya faced a similar fate when shifting rainfall patterns disrupted their agricultural systems. These parallels suggest that environmental instability can be a powerful force, capable of unraveling even the most advanced societies. But here's the question: could climate change alone explain the complete collapse of the Indus Valley civilization? While it's clear that environmental factors played a significant role, some scholars argue that the story is more complex. A society as resilient and adaptable as the Indus Valley might have found ways to cope with a changing climate if other pressures hadn't compounded the crisis. Could internal social tensions, economic strain, or external threats have exacerbated the situation? Or was it a perfect storm of environmental and human factors that ultimately sealed their fate? As we explore the next theories, these questions will take on even greater significance, painting a fuller picture of what might have happened to this once thriving civilization. While climate change offers a compelling explanation for the Indus Valley's decline, another theory points to the destructive power of natural disasters. The region where the civilization thrived is part of a geologically active zone, prone to earthquakes and flooding. Evidence from archaeological sites suggests that these forces may have played a significant role in destabilizing the once thriving cities. Imagine the ground shaking violently, collapsing buildings, and disrupting the intricate drainage systems that were the pride of the Indus Valley. Or picture massive floods sweeping through the streets, washing away homes and farmland and leaving chaos in their wake. These aren't just hypothetical scenarios, they're events that could have had devastating consequences for a society so deeply connected to its environment. Geological studies have revealed signs of seismic activity in the region, including fault lines and evidence of past earthquakes. Some researchers believe that a major quake could have struck during the civilization's later years, causing widespread destruction. The cities of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, with their carefully planned layouts and sturdy brick structures, might have been particularly vulnerable. Even if the buildings themselves didn't collapse, the damage to infrastructure, like roads, wells, and drainage systems, could have been catastrophic. And let's not forget the psychological impact. Living through such an event would have shaken the confidence of the people, undermining their trust in the stability of their world. Floods, too, could have been a major factor. The Indus River, while a source of life, could also be a source of destruction. seasonal flooding was likely a regular occurrence, but a sudden, catastrophic flood, perhaps caused by a shift in the river's course or an unusually intense monsoon, might have overwhelmed the civilization's defenses. The same waterways that fed their crops and facilitated trade could have turned against them, inundating cities and displacing entire communities. For a society so dependent on its rivers, this would have been a crippling blow. Historical parallels help illustrate the potential impact of such disasters. The ancient city of Troy, for example, was repeatedly destroyed by earthquakes, each time forcing its inhabitants to rebuild. Similarly, the Minoan civilization on Crete faced a sudden decline after the eruption of the Thera volcano, which caused tsunamis and widespread devastation. These examples show how natural disasters can disrupt even the most advanced societies, leaving them vulnerable to collapse. But could earthquakes or floods alone explain the complete disappearance of the Indus Valley Civilization? While these events would have caused significant damage, they might not have been enough to wipe out an entire society. Some scholars argue that natural disasters could have been the catalyst for a broader collapse, exacerbating existing vulnerabilities. For instance, a major earthquake might have disrupted trade routes, leading to economic decline. Or a devastating flood could have forced people to abandon their cities, scattering the population and weakening social cohesion. In this way, natural disasters might have set off a chain reaction, compounding other challenges the civilization was already facing. This brings us to the next piece of the puzzle: human factors. While environmental and geological forces undoubtedly played a role, the actions or inactions of the people themselves may have contributed to the civilization's downfall. From internal social tensions to external threats, the human element adds another layer of complexity to the story. As we explore these possibilities, we'll see how the interplay between nature and human behavior might have sealed the fate of one of history's most remarkable civilizations. While environmental and natural disaster theories offer compelling explanations, another possibility looms large in the debate: invasion. Could the Indus Valley Civilization have been brought down by external forces? Some scholars point to the arrival of the Indo-Aryans, a group of nomadic people who migrated into the region around the time of the civilization's decline. This theory suggests that these newcomers, armed with advanced weaponry and horses, may have overwhelmed the Indus Valley people, leading to widespread destruction and societal collapse. But is there evidence to support this idea? Archaeological findings have occasionally been interpreted as signs of conflict. At sites like Mohenjo-Daro, skeletal remains have been discovered in what appear to be hastily dug mass graves, some showing signs of violent trauma. Additionally, a handful of weapons such as copper and bronze daggers have been unearthed, though these are relatively rare compared to the abundance of tools and everyday objects. Some researchers argue that these findings hint at a society under siege, one that faced sudden and catastrophic violence. However, the invasion theory is far from universally accepted. Critics point out that the evidence of widespread destruction is surprisingly limited. Unlike other ancient cities that bear clear marks of conquest, burned buildings, shattered walls, or layers of ash, the Indus Valley sites show little sign of large-scale violence. The so-called mass graves could also be interpreted differently. Perhaps they were the result of disease or natural disasters rather than warfare. And while the presence of weapons might suggest conflict, it's worth noting that weapons were also tools for hunting or self-defense, not necessarily indicators of invasion. Adding to the complexity is the question of who the Indo-Aryans were and how they interacted with the Indus Valley people. Some experts argue that their arrival was more of a gradual migration than a violent conquest. Rather than overthrowing the existing society, they may have integrated with it, blending their culture with that of the Indus Valley over time. This would explain the lack of widespread destruction and the continuity of certain cultural practices in the region. So, where does this leave us? The invasion theory remains a tantalizing possibility, but it's one that raises as many questions as it answers. If the Indo-Aryans did play a role in the civilization's decline, was it through outright conquest, or did their arrival exacerbate existing vulnerabilities? Could internal factors, such as social unrest, economic strain, or political instability, have weakened the Indus Valley, making it more susceptible to external pressures? These questions remind us that the collapse of a civilization is rarely the result of a single cause. Instead, it's often a combination of factors, both external and internal, that tip the scales toward decline. As we turn our attention to the possibility of internal strife, we'll explore how the very strengths of the Indus Valley Civilization, its egalitarian structure, its reliance on trade, and its intricate social systems might have also been its weaknesses. Could the seeds of its downfall have been sown within its own society? The answers, as we'll see, are as complex as the civilization itself. While environmental and external threats offer compelling explanations, the decline of the Indus Valley Civilization might also have been driven by internal factors: economic instability, social unrest, or a breakdown in the very systems that once made it thrive. Imagine a society built on intricate trade networks where goods flowed seamlessly between cities and distant regions. Now picture those networks faltering, perhaps due to resource depletion or shifts in demand. For a civilization so deeply interconnected, even a small disruption could have had far-reaching consequences. The Indus Valley's economy was heavily reliant on trade, both within its own cities and with distant partners like Mesopotamia. Artifacts such as seals, beads, and pottery found in far-off lands attest to the scale of their commercial reach. But this reliance on trade may have been a double-edged sword. If key resources like timber, metals, or even food became scarce, the entire system could have unraveled. Over time, the depletion of local resources, combined with the challenges of maintaining long-distance trade routes, might have strained the economy to its breaking point. Adding to this complexity is the absence of clear evidence for a centralized authority. Unlike other ancient civilizations, the Indus Valley shows little sign of kings, emperors, or a ruling elite. This egalitarian structure, while remarkable, may have left the society vulnerable in times of crisis. Without a strong, centralized leadership to coordinate responses to economic or environmental challenges, the civilization could have struggled to adapt. Decisions might have been made locally, leading to fragmented and inconsistent efforts to address widespread problems. This pattern isn't unique to the Indus Valley. History is filled with examples of societies that collapsed under the weight of their own internal pressures. The Roman Empire, for instance, faced economic decline, social unrest, and administrative inefficiency long before its fall. Similarly, the Maya civilization struggled with overpopulation, resource depletion, and political fragmentation. These parallels suggest that even the most advanced societies are not immune to the dangers of internal decay. But here's the question: could the Indus Valley's very strengths, its egalitarianism, its reliance on trade, its decentralized structure have also been its weaknesses? In times of stability, these features may have fostered innovation and cooperation. But in the face of mounting challenges, they could have made the civilization more fragile, less able to respond to crises with the unity and decisiveness needed to survive. As we turn our attention to cultural shifts, we'll explore how changes in beliefs, practices, and identity might have played a role in the civilization's decline. Did the people of the Indus Valley lose faith in their systems? Did new ideas or influences reshape their society in ways that undermined its cohesion? These questions take us deeper into the heart of the mystery, revealing how the intangible forces of culture can shape the fate of a civilization. What if the Indus Valley Civilization didn't truly vanish, but instead underwent a slow transformation, its identity reshaped by cultural shifts and migration? This theory challenges the idea of a sudden collapse, suggesting instead that the civilization evolved over time, blending with new influences and adapting to changing circumstances. Evidence of this gradual change can be found in the artifacts left behind, particularly in the pottery styles that persisted long after the civilization's peak. Archaeologists have noted that certain designs and techniques continued to appear in the region, hinting at a cultural continuity that outlasted the cities themselves. These artifacts suggest that while the urban centers may have declined, the people and their traditions endured, merging with new groups and ideas. One of the key pieces of evidence supporting this theory is the presence of similar pottery styles in later cultures of the region. For example, the painted gray ware culture, which emerged centuries after the Indus Valley's decline, shows striking similarities in design and craftsmanship. This continuity suggests that the Indus Valley people didn't simply disappear, they may have migrated, integrating with other communities and passing on their knowledge and traditions. Over time, these interactions could have diluted the distinct identity of the Indus Valley Civilization, blending it into the cultural tapestry of the region. Population movements likely played a significant role in this process, as environmental pressures, economic strain, or social unrest made life in the cities increasingly difficult. People may have begun to disperse, seeking new opportunities elsewhere. This migration wouldn't have been a single, dramatic event, but a gradual process, with families and communities slowly moving to new areas. Over generations, these migrations could have led to the spread of Indus Valley practices and ideas, even as the civilization's centralized structure faded away. But how do we reconcile this theory with the disappearance of the Indus Valley script? The undeciphered symbols etched into seals and pottery remain one of the greatest mysteries of this civilization. Some scholars believe that the script may hold clues to the civilization's transformation. If the script was tied to a specific administrative or religious system, its decline could reflect broader changes in how society was organized. Alternatively, the script might have evolved into new forms, its original meaning lost as the culture adapted to new influences. Could the key to understanding the Indus Valley's fate lie in cracking this ancient code? The answer remains elusive, but the possibility adds another layer of intrigue to this already fascinating story. As we piece together the evidence, it becomes clear that the Indus Valley civilization's decline was likely the result of multiple, interconnected factors. Environmental challenges, natural disasters, external pressures, and internal struggles all played a part, but so too did the resilience and adaptability of its people. Rather than a sudden collapse, the civilization may have undergone a gradual transformation, its legacy living on in the cultures that followed. This perspective reminds us that the end of a civilization isn't always a dramatic event. It can also be a slow, complex process of change and adaptation. And as we continue to explore the mysteries of the Indus Valley, we're left with a profound question. What does it mean for a civilization to truly disappear? Among the many mysteries of the Indus Valley civilization, one of the most tantalizing is its script, etched into seals, pottery, and other artifacts. This ancient writing system consists of hundreds of distinct symbols, some resembling animals, others abstract shapes or geometric patterns. Yet, despite decades of study, the script remains undeciphered, a silent language that holds the key to understanding one of history's most enigmatic societies. Why has this script proven so difficult to crack, and what could it tell us about the civilization's rise, its way of life, and ultimately its decline? The challenge lies in the absence of a Rosetta Stone, a bilingual artifact that could provide a clear link between the Indus script and a known language. Without such a key, researchers are left to piece together meaning from fragments, a task made even more difficult by the brevity of the inscriptions. Most examples of the script are short, often just a handful of symbols offering little context for interpretation. This has led to a wide range of theories about what the script represents. Some believe it was a form of writing, perhaps used for administrative or religious purposes. Others argue it might have been a system of symbols or even a proto-writing system, conveying ideas rather than a full language. The significance of deciphering the script cannot be overstated. If we could read these ancient symbols, we might gain unprecedented insight into the civilization's political structure, economic systems, and social organization. For instance, did the Indus Valley have a centralized government, or was it governed by local councils? Were their trade networks as extensive as we suspect, and how did they manage such a complex economy? The script could also shed light on their religious beliefs, daily life, and even the reasons behind their decline. Was there a record of environmental changes, conflicts, or internal struggles hidden in these symbols? The answers could transform our understanding of this ancient society. Recent advancements in technology are offering new hope for cracking the code. Computational linguistics, for example, is being used to analyze patterns in the script, comparing it to known languages and symbol systems. Machine learning algorithms can process vast amounts of data, identifying recurring sequences or potential grammatical structures that might have been missed by human researchers. Additionally, 3D imaging techniques are allowing scholars to study inscriptions in greater detail, revealing subtle nuances in the symbols that could hold clues to their meaning. These tools are opening up new avenues of research, bringing us closer than ever to unlocking the secrets of the Indus script. But even with these advancements, the task remains daunting. The script's brevity and lack of context continue to pose significant challenges. Some researchers have turned to comparative studies, examining similarities between the Indus symbols and other ancient writing systems, such as those of Mesopotamia or the early Dravidian languages of South India. While these comparisons have yielded intriguing possibilities, they have yet to produce a definitive breakthrough. The mystery of the Indus script persists, a testament to the complexity and sophistication of this ancient civilization. As we continue to explore this enigma, one thing becomes clear: the Indus script is more than just a linguistic puzzle. It's a window into the mind of a people who built one of the world's first great urban societies. Deciphering it could reveal not only how they lived, but also how they thought, how they organized their world, and perhaps even why they disappeared. And as modern technology brings us closer to solving this ancient mystery, we're reminded that the past is never truly lost. It's just waiting to be rediscovered. This brings us to the next chapter in our exploration: how the legacy of the Indus Valley Civilization continues to influence the world today, from its innovations in urban planning to its enduring cultural impact. What lessons can we learn from this ancient society, and how might its story shape our future? The answers, as always, lie in the clues left behind, clues that we're only beginning to understand. In recent years, modern archaeology has breathed new life into the study of the Indus Valley Civilization, uncovering secrets that were once thought lost to time. Thanks to cutting-edge technologies like satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, and DNA analysis, researchers are peeling back layers of history, revealing a more nuanced picture of this ancient society's decline. These tools have allowed archaeologists to see beyond the surface, mapping entire cities buried beneath the earth and identifying patterns that were invisible to earlier generations of scholars. For instance, satellite imagery has revealed the outlines of previously unknown settlements, suggesting that the Indus Valley's reach was even more extensive than we once believed. These discoveries are reshaping our understanding of how this civilization functioned and why it ultimately fell. One of the most exciting breakthroughs has come from the use of ground-penetrating radar, which has uncovered hidden structures beneath the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. These findings include evidence of advanced water management systems, such as reservoirs and wells, that were far more sophisticated than previously thought. This technology has also revealed the remains of large public buildings, hinting at a level of civic organization that challenges the notion of a purely egalitarian society. Could these structures point to a more centralized authority than we've assumed? Or do they reflect a society that balanced communal decision-making with specialized roles? The answers are still emerging, but each discovery adds a new piece to the puzzle. DNA analysis, too, is revolutionizing our understanding of the Indus Valley people. By studying ancient skeletal remains, scientists have begun to trace the genetic lineage of this civilization, uncovering connections to modern populations in South Asia. These findings suggest that the Indus Valley people didn't simply vanish. They may have migrated and integrated with other groups, leaving a lasting genetic legacy. This challenges the idea of a sudden collapse, pointing instead to a more gradual transformation. As archaeologist Vasant Shind explains, the story of the Indus Valley isn't one of disappearance but of continuity. Their influence lives on in the people and cultures of the region today. But perhaps the most intriguing discoveries are the artifacts that defy existing theories. Take, for example, the recent unearthing of a cache of seals and pottery at a previously unknown site in Gujarat. These artifacts bear symbols that differ slightly from those found at other Indus Valley sites, suggesting regional variations in their script and culture. Could this mean that the civilization was more diverse and decentralized than we've imagined? Or does it hint at a society in flux, adapting to new challenges and influences? Each find raises new questions, pushing researchers to rethink long-held assumptions. As we continue to uncover the secrets of the Indus Valley, one thing becomes clear: this civilization story is far from over. The lessons it holds for modern societies are profound. From their innovative urban planning to their resilience in the face of environmental challenges, the Indus Valley people offer a glimpse into how ancient societies navigated complexity and change. Their ability to adapt, innovate, and cooperate, qualities that sustained them for centuries, reminds us of the importance of flexibility and foresight in our own rapidly changing world. And as we dig deeper into their past, we're not just uncovering history, we're uncovering insights that could shape our future. This brings us to the final chapter of our exploration: how the legacy of the Indus Valley Civilization continues to inspire and inform us today, from its groundbreaking achievements to the enduring mysteries that still captivate our imagination. What can we learn from their triumphs and their struggles, and how might their story guide us as we face the challenges of our own time? The answers, as always, lie in the clues they left behind, clues that we're only beginning to understand. The story of the Indus Valley Civilization isn't just a tale of ancient ruins. It's a mirror reflecting the challenges societies face both then and now. As we piece together the fragments of their history, we're confronted with questions that feel strikingly modern. How do societies adapt to environmental change? What happens when resources run thin, and how do we balance progress with sustainability? The Indus Valley's rise and fall offer profound lessons, not just about the past, but about the world we live in today. Consider the parallels between their struggles and our own. The Indus Valley thrived for centuries, mastering urban planning, trade, and resource management. Yet, their dependence on a stable environment made them vulnerable to shifts in climate and natural disasters. Sound familiar? Today, we face similar challenges: rising temperatures, unpredictable weather patterns, and the depletion of vital resources. As environmentalist Bill McKibben once observed, the past is not just a story, it's a warning. The Indus Valley's experience reminds us that even the most advanced societies are not immune to the forces of nature. But it's not just about the environment. The Indus Valley's egalitarian structure, while remarkable, may have also been a weakness in times of crisis. Without a centralized authority to coordinate responses, their society struggled to adapt to mounting pressures. This raises important questions about governance and social cohesion. In our modern world, where inequality and political fragmentation are growing concerns, the Indus Valley story serves as a cautionary tale. How do we build systems that are both flexible and resilient? How do we ensure that progress benefits everyone, not just a privileged few? The parallels don't end there. The Indus Valley's reliance on trade networks echoes our own interconnected global economy. When those networks faltered, their society faced economic strain and social upheaval. Today, we see how disruptions, whether from pandemics, conflicts, or supply chain issues, can ripple across the world, exposing vulnerabilities in our systems. The Indus Valley's experience underscores the importance of diversifying resources and building redundancy into our systems, so we're not left vulnerable when one link in the chain breaks. So, what can we learn from this ancient civilization? Historian Joseph Tainter, who studies societal collapse, offers a thought-provoking perspective. Complex societies are inherently fragile. Their very success creates vulnerabilities. The Indus Valley's achievements, their cities, their trade networks, their innovations, were also the source of their fragility. This paradox is one we must grapple with as we navigate the challenges of the 21st century. How do we balance progress with sustainability? How do we build societies that are not only advanced but also resilient? As we reflect on the Indus Valley's legacy, it's clear that their story is far more than a historical curiosity. It's a call to action, a reminder that the choices we make today will shape the future of our societies. Whether it's addressing climate change, reducing inequality, or fostering social cohesion, the lessons of the past can guide us toward a more sustainable and equitable world. The Indus Valley may have vanished, but its echoes still resonate, urging us to learn from their triumphs and their struggles. And as we face the challenges of our own time, their story reminds us that the key to resilience lies not just in innovation, but in adaptability, cooperation, and foresight. This brings us to the final chapter of our exploration: how the Indus Valley's legacy continues to inspire and inform us today, from its groundbreaking achievements to the enduring mysteries that still captivate our imagination. What can we learn from their triumphs and their struggles, and how might their story guide us as we face the challenges of our own time? The answers, as always, lie in the clues they left behind, clues that we're only beginning to understand. One of the most persistent myths about the Indus Valley Civilization is that its disappearance was the result of a single dramatic event, a sudden catastrophe that wiped out an entire society in one fell swoop. It's an appealing narrative, one that fits neatly into our love for dramatic stories. But history, as it often does, resists such simplicity. The truth is far more complex and far more fascinating. While it's tempting to imagine a massive flood, a devastating earthquake, or a brutal invasion as the sole cause of the civilization's decline, the evidence tells a different story. Take, for example, the idea of a catastrophic flood. While it's true that the Indus River and its tributaries were prone to flooding, there's no clear evidence that a single, overwhelming deluge destroyed the civilization. Archaeologists have found signs of flooding at sites like Mohenjo-Daro, but these events appear to have been localized and manageable. The Indus Valley people were skilled engineers after all, with drainage systems designed to handle seasonal floods. If flooding played a role in their decline, it was likely part of a broader pattern of environmental stress, not a single apocalyptic event. Similarly, the theory of a sudden invasion has been called into question. While some early scholars pointed to the arrival of the Indo-Aryans as a possible cause, the evidence for widespread violence is surprisingly thin. There are no mass graves filled with the remains of battle, no burned cities, no clear signs of conquest. Instead, what we see is a gradual decline, a slow unraveling of urban life, marked by the abandonment of cities and the dispersal of populations. This suggests that the civilization's collapse was the result of multiple, interconnected factors, rather than a single, decisive blow. So why do these myths persist? Part of the answer lies in our desire for clear, straightforward explanations. It's easier to imagine a civilization falling to a single, dramatic cause than to grapple with the messy, multifaceted reality of historical change. But as historian Ramila Thapar has noted, history is not a series of isolated events. It's a web of interconnected processes. The decline of the Indus Valley Civilization wasn't a single event. It was a process shaped by environmental shifts, economic pressures, social changes, and perhaps even cultural transformations. This complexity is what makes the Indus Valley story so compelling and so relevant. It reminds us that the fate of societies is rarely determined by one factor alone. Instead, it's the interplay of multiple forces, some predictable, others unexpected, that shapes the course of history. And as we continue to explore the mysteries of the Indus Valley, we're left with a central question: what really went wrong? The answer, as we've seen, is as layered and intricate as the civilization itself. By debunking these myths, we not only gain a clearer understanding of the past, but also a deeper appreciation for the resilience and adaptability of the people who lived through these challenges. Their story is a testament to the complexity of human societies and a reminder that history is rarely as simple as it seems. Despite decades of research, the Indus Valley Civilization remains one of history's most tantalizing puzzles. While we've made significant strides in understanding its rise and fall, many questions linger waiting for answers. What caused this advanced society to collapse? What secrets are hidden in their undeciphered script? And how did their legacy shape the cultures that followed? These aren't just academic questions, they're windows into the human experience, offering insights into how societies thrive, adapt, and sometimes falter. One of the most pressing mysteries is the Indus script. Hundreds of symbols have been discovered, etched into seals, pottery, and other artifacts, yet their meaning remains elusive. Deciphering this script could unlock a wealth of knowledge about the civilization's governance, economy, and daily life. But without a Rosetta Stone, a bilingual artifact that bridges the gap between the script and a known language, progress has been slow. Recent advances in computational linguistics and machine learning offer new hope, allowing researchers to analyze patterns and connections that might have been missed before. As archaeologist Asko Parpola once said, the Indus script is a locked door and we're still searching for the key, but every discovery brings us closer to opening it. Another area ripe for exploration is the role of environmental changes in the civilization's decline. While evidence points to shifts in climate and river systems, the details remain unclear. How severe were these changes, and how did they impact agriculture, trade, and urban life? To answer these questions, researchers are turning to cutting-edge tools like sediment core analysis and satellite imaging, which can reveal long-term patterns in the region's climate and landscape. These interdisciplinary approaches are shedding light on how the Indus Valley people adapted or failed to adapt to a changing world, but the mysteries don't end there. Many Indus Valley sites remain unexplored, particularly in regions like Gujarat and Rajasthan, where new discoveries could reshape our understanding of the civilization's reach and complexity. Excavations at these lesser-known sites have already yielded intriguing finds, from unique pottery styles to evidence of regional trade networks. Each discovery adds another piece to the puzzle, challenging old assumptions and opening new avenues of research. The key to unlocking these mysteries lies in collaboration. Archaeologists, historians, climate scientists, and linguists are working together, combining their expertise to tackle questions that no single discipline can answer alone. This interdisciplinary approach is transforming the field, offering fresh perspectives and innovative solutions. As researcher Rita Wright puts it, the Indus Valley Civilization is a story that belongs to all of us. By working together, we can uncover the truths that have been hidden for millennia. As we look to the future, it's clear that the story of the Indus Valley is far from over. Every new discovery, every breakthrough in technology brings us closer to understanding this remarkable civilization. And while many questions remain, one thing is certain: the Indus Valley's legacy continues to inspire and challenge us, reminding us of the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. This brings us to the final chapter of our exploration: how the lessons of the Indus Valley can guide us as we face the challenges of our own time. What can we learn from their triumphs and their struggles? And how might their story shape the future of our world? The answers, as always, lie in the clues they left behind, clues that we're only beginning to understand. The story of the Indus Valley Civilization is one of brilliance, resilience, and mystery. From its meticulously planned cities to its intricate trade networks, this ancient society achieved heights of sophistication that still astonish us today. Yet, its sudden decline remains one of history's most enduring puzzles. Was it climate change, natural disasters, invasion, or a combination of factors that brought this once thriving civilization to its knees? The truth, as we've explored, is likely a complex tapestry of environmental, social, and economic pressures, a reminder that the fate of societies is rarely shaped by a single cause. What makes the Indus Valley story so compelling isn't just its achievements, but the questions it leaves unanswered. How did a society without grand monuments or clear rulers manage to thrive for centuries? Why did their script, so carefully etched into seals and pottery, remain undeciphered? And what can their experience teach us about the challenges we face today? As we grapple with issues like climate change, resource depletion, and social inequality, the Indus Valley's rise and fall offer a powerful lens through which to examine our own world. Their story is a testament to the fragility of even the most advanced societies, and a call to action for how we might build a more sustainable future. Historian Jared Diamond once wrote, "The past offers us a library of experiments, some of which succeeded and some of which failed. The Indus Valley Civilization is one of those experiments, a case study in how societies navigate complexity and change." Their ability to adapt, innovate, and cooperate sustained them for centuries, but their vulnerabilities ultimately proved their undoing. As we reflect on their legacy, we're reminded that the lessons of history are not just about what went wrong, but about what we can do differently. So, what do you think? Could the Indus Valley's fate have been avoided, or was their decline inevitable? How do their challenges mirror the ones we face today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're as fascinated by historical mysteries as we are, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the secrets of the past. From ancient civilizations to forgotten empires, there's always more to discover. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time. We'll see you in the next video.